green rolling hills, the beautiful California sun, but we're not California dreaming. This is the real deal here at beautiful Sonoma Raceway. It's time to go fast with qualifying getting underway for round 2 of the Porsche Endurance Challenge North America Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury, and we have special guest Therese Lelou joining us for qualifying. Well, Joey, we're back here at Sonoma now for endurance racing, but getting that track position for the race itself going to be so important here in quali.
And let's take a look at the track map itself. We are located right here in Sonoma, California. And this is a track that is filled with elevation. And when we talk about qualifying, a couple key areas that you can really make the speed up and over the crests of both turn number 2 and turn number 3, important to carry the rolling speed. And then, of course, the exit out of turn number 7. That's that far hairpin to lead you down that S's back straightaway, if you will. And then also keep an eye on that turn 9A chicane. That's definitely been a hot spot all weekend long. And the quicker that you can get through that slow speed chicane, the faster your lap is going to be.
Right now we are going through the Cayman qualifying for the Endurance Challenge. So we're splitting them up. We'll have the GT3s in a little bit. Already looking on board the 52 with Tom Kopczynski out there in the car trying to set a lap as we watch him come around the final corner. Nobody with a lap time quite yet. So we'll wait to see who is able to put what down out there. Of course, they have the AM and the Pro-Ams to watch out for in today's race. And this is going to be a 90-minute event, so it'll be slightly shorter than what we had back at Sebring for the first round, Therese. A little bit more straightforward when we get to those pit stop times, and I have to imagine that means that the track position even more important because of that here.
It's so difficult to pass here. Without a restart, without a yellow, without something like that bunching up the field, it's really difficult. We saw that in practices all over the course of the weekend. Even if someone has a second or two on the person in front of them, it's not a given. So that pit cycle is going to be really critical. The timing of the yellows is really going to, determine this race.
Down onto the drag strip here for Kopczynski. Going to be joining up with Eric Filgaris, who we got to chat with a little bit earlier in this weekend. Definitely has been busy coaching a number of drivers, Joey, and so I'm pretty sure he'll have a lot of familiarity with this circuit as we check out on the 78 now.
100%, and Eric is always a true professional out there. It doesn't matter kind of what car he's in, what series he's racing in, and I'm pretty sure he's been out here in Sonoma, California for 2 weeks straight compared to a lot of these drivers that are just kind of showing up this weekend and getting up to speed. Now, this is the number 78 car. It looks like Charles Espenlaub is actually going to be qualifying this one. I know Charles from way back and physically door banged with this guy a few times.
You've told me that story.
And, it's not just once.
Yeah.
It's funny because he makes the Safecraft nets, so, maybe he's willing to adore people here and there knowing that he produces such great equipment.
No, Charles is once again a true professional, and I mean, he has been all over the world with endurance racing, especially the last couple years. And he's very familiar in both the GT4 and the GT3 machinery. Henry Marshall has been driving this car in the West events this weekend, and they're also here entered in the Endurance Challenge.
And it's really a testament to these drivers that so many of these cars are able to make this grid. It was a concern that I had, just racing twice in one day, making sure you keep that car clean. And fortunately, we saw, very little damage kind of going on across the field. So we're able to have a nice full field here for the Endurance Challenge.
No doubt. And we do have at least one time on the board, but that's it for Kopczynski at this stage. Now, Bill Finnick brings it across the line. Puts down a 150.5, not even close to Tom's time thus far. So it seems like Kopczynski really has that car hooked up to kick things off here. Looks like Tartaglione, Reggie getting out on the track as he's on his out lap now as we watch the 78 of Espenlaub. That's much closer, within 0.3 of a second of Tom.
I'd keep an eye on timing and scoring. I think that they were just warming everything up on that true first-timed lap. Now, the fastest times we've seen out of the Cayman GT4s here this weekend was actually in practice I think it was Danny Dashelski over there in that North American Series practice that laid down a 41, I think. And then the majority of the times have kind of been 43s, 44s out here for the Cayman. So I'd expect that these lap times to drop. And in fact, look at that, Anna Checki already on top of 44.4.
With 2 purple sectors, Sector 2 and Sector 3, we see if Kopczynski can bring that back. He edged her out just a little bit in Sector 1 and just did so again to bring in that 43.
Yeah, so he moves back to the top. The times are tumbling, and it's going to be a very limited amount of time in qualifying. Only 15 minutes here, Therese. That's got to be a lot of pressure on the drivers.
I actually enjoyed that they split us into the 2 groups, and the 15 minutes is enough time when you have a smaller field like this. So you're able to just click off your laps, get in a good gap with the spotters. There's plenty of room on this racetrack with 15 cars out there, or with, 8 cars out there. And 15 minutes should be enough time for them to get 1 or 2 flyers.
And what we've seen throughout the tire warm-up phase in the race is that usually the fastest laps are turned about 8 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes into those races. So I think that 15-minute qualifying window is really a perfect amount of time.
Yeah, we went on a long tire strategy in race 2. It didn't work out for us getting hit, but you can run really quick late in the race. So on a dead tire, I was able to do a 38.9, and that was on a 150-mile tire. So you know, these Yokohamas, they go all day, and once they come in, you're not going to see a ton of deg. But with the conditions as cold as they are out here, I know it looks sunny and beautiful here in Sonoma, but it is quite crisp out. So it takes a little bit of time to get the temp in the tire. You might get the pressures up, but the temp's not there yet. So that definitely takes a few laps to do that.
Looks like Bonderson's kind of experiencing that. He's about 8 seconds off the pole currently, but this looks to be a decent one, although he didn't set his personal best in either Sector 1 or Sector 2. So he'll have to come back around to try and get a little bit more out of it here. He's following behind Anna Checki in that yellow machine. As also just saw another of our Caymans just come across just in front of her. This lap, not an improvement for Anna, stays on that 44.4. Right now, our quickest time still belonging to Charles with a 43 flat.
Yeah, it's pretty quick out there for sure, and I'm not surprised to see Charles kind of right there on top of the board to really begin this qualifying session. Although I shouldn't say begin, Joe. I mean, I blinked twice and we're already past halfway through.
Yeah, you can tell just how quickly those 15 minutes start to go by here. You have to remember you're looking at a minute and 3/4 to just circulate once around here, and you have to take into account the out lap as well. Now, the good news is they will be able to complete their hot laps out here once we get to the end of the session. So that will help out on that front. Bill Fennick will jump up to 3rd overall. Nicely done from the 15, now down to a 44.3, but still, it's looking like a haves and have-nots situation. It's 1.2 seconds back to 3rd place right now, as it looks like the 15's actually off.
That is Bill Fennick, the driver that you were just talking about. He was starting a new fast lap after he had just set that qualifying time. And often when you're a driver trying to push those limits, you can just kind of push it a little bit too far. But thankfully, up at the top of turn number 2, you got gravity helping you out as well. Help slow that car down.
Charles coming down the hill through 4 and into 5 once again. Already with a pretty decent gap. Kopczynski needs half a second to try and take over that pole position. Remember, there's no extra bonus points for this. This is all just down to your starting order. Greg Herback gets one on the board, goes to 5th overall. Anna Checki back up to 3rd, now overtaking Bill Fennick. So we're still seeing some changes. Now we're down to 5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that temp start to come in on the tires. That might be what caught out Fennick. You're carrying so much speed into 1 and into 2. You're counting on that hill to slow you down. But if the temp's not quite there yet, it's quick. It can get slippery really quickly.
Walking down through the S's here for that number 78. Charles hits the brakes down into the final chicane to try and just glance over these curbs. Give them a little bit of space. It's been the spot that's given us perhaps the most trouble all weekend long, down through that 9 and 9A, where so many drivers have come to grief.
I think Charles is actually going to be bringing it. Yep, there he goes down into pit road. And I think that's the sign of a driver that knows the kind of the performance window of the car, can push it right up to that limit. And once he gets there, you know, he laid down another lap time that was less than 1/4 of a second off of his fastest provisional pole lap right there and says, okay, let's bring it in. Let's take care of the car.
Yeah, you definitely want to preserve those tires. You're going to be running these tires in the first stint, and, the more laps you put on them, the harder it's going to be for you to dig in that last few minutes.
Interesting to note that we've got Tartaglione, Herback, and Checky all very close on track. They don't seem to be as interested in getting themselves some space out there. So not sure if they're going to maybe try and back off here soon and get themselves some room in front of the car before we get to these final laps. No, they're all three going to cross the line in front of us just now.
They might be wanting to pick up a draft maybe, but the aero wash might hurt you
I was gonna say,
more than the draft might help you.
Is there much you can get around here in the Caymans?
There's a little bit for sure. If you're close enough, you could get a 10th, a 100th, and when, things are this tight, you got to go for everything you can get.
So waiting for Paul Bonderson as well to try and pick up back there in 7th. He's got a little bit to make up, just under a second to catch up to Reggie Tartaglione, just ahead of him. Still watching Bill Finnick, though, down into the chicane once more. Last lap, of course, is a bit of a write-off since he was off the course up through turn 2. That looks nice and steady. In fact, quite a bit of the curb there on the inside on the exit of 9A.
We've seen both of the classes have troubles in that 9A chicane down there, so it just depends on how much the driver wants to take over that second apex curb. It seems to be really that second apex curb that's the problem child out there for all of these cars. Not so much the first one. I think the drivers get a little bit greedy on that brake pedal, try to carry as much speed as possible through that first apex of the chicane and then go jumping over the second apex, and that's really where it kind of can upset the car.
Yeah, technically speaking, we try to carry as much speed as we can under the brake into 9 so that when we get to 9A, we don't have to add any extra throttle, just kind of come off of it and dig in. But traction is very limited coming out of 9A. But that tire bail that got added with SRO has kind of been the bane of our existence all weekend, trying to see how close we can get to it. I definitely touched it a time or two myself.
We wondered if anybody was going to wind up taking it out over this weekend.
They moved it back a few inches, and I think that saved us because we were really coming right up on it. I think I clipped my mirror a time or two.
And I think that's Bonderson heading in, so it looks like he's happy with what he's got so far. Unfortunately, going to wind up 7th and last on the field, but I do love when talking to Paul, he said his goal is to complete all the races this year. So he's just out here for fun, essentially, enjoying himself, and wants to make sure and bring home the car.
He's one of 2 cars in the Charlie Hayes Racing outfit, which is local here to Sonoma. So the Checkies really, really excited to see how they're going to do here at their home track with Charlie behind them. And they've got great coaching with Thomas Merrill leading that team. So we've got 2 father-child matchups. We've got Greg Checky and Anna Checky. And we've got the Tartagliones, Reggie and Manny. So should be a nice family affair out here.
Indeed. Tom Kopczynski, though, right now in the 52 has about 2 seconds, or 0.2 of a second, rather, to make up and get onto the front row with Anna and Greg down through the carousel. Can he manage that? Looks like the 72 is actually on a purple first sector, so that's going to be difficult if they improve all that much more.
And I also saw that the driver ID changed to Greg Checky, so I'm not sure if it is Anna or Greg in the car, but whenever we talk to them, they're always stacked on top of each other in terms of those performance levels, and it's always a who's who of which one is faster. I think it's just kind of that rivalry within the family.
They really duke it out. They're always so competitive with each other, but in such great spirits. And Greg is truly a really special guy. Just to see him out here racing with his family and, his wife's here. And it's a really, really great family outfit.
They are fun to listen to, especially how much they compete with one another for the faster times. As we watch them now come across the start-finish line once again, still trailing along Greg Herback, along with Tartaglione. No, excuse me, that's Kopczynski now behind them that just crossed the line. And Tom not able to overtake as Checky has put down a 43.4, it looks like.
And crucially, time is actually running out right now. Only about 5 seconds left on the clock here, so then the checkered flag will fall. But all of these drivers that are already on their lap, they will be able to complete it. You just can't start a new one, and there is the checkered flag.
Only 4 drivers that are still out there. Espinlaw, Fennick have both come in. We mentioned Bonderson just recently have pitted the car. So it's Checky, Kopczynski, Herback, and Tartaglione trying to see if they can improve on the last call of it. Remember, we've got more action coming after this because the GT3 Cup cars are going to be taking to the track here at Sonoma for their qualifying as well. Tartaglione out of the hairpin, down through the S's. Real big braking zone into turn 9 here. Let's see how deep he can take it, Therese.
Coming into that brake zone right now.
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah, it was perfect over that first apex and the second apex, to be quite honest. And now he's really just got turn 11 to kind of deal with.
Don't discount turn 10 in the meantime, though. That's it's a quick right-hander, and you can very quickly get yourself out of sorts there. But no, 11 is 11's brutal too. But 10 has got to be the scariest corner for me.
Certainly is a little bit easier with the chicane in front of it, but no less scary as they come across the line. And I don't see an improvement from Tartaglione. Checky does not either. What about Herback as he comes across next? No, everybody is going to stay as they are. That's our qualifying finished for our Cayman class. And it sees Espinlaub in first with Checky coming home P2. Kopczynski third, Fennick in P4, Herback fifth, Tartaglione in sixth, Paul Bonderson seventh out of the cars that were able to make it out onto the course. We'll have a short break. We'll be back for action with the 992 GT3 Cup cars here in qualifying for the Endurance Challenge.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway as we continue our coverage of qualifying for round 2 in the Porsche Endurance Challenge North America Series. And the GT3 Cup cars have just gotten back out on track. This very much your bailiwick, Therese. I'm joined by Therese Lalou and Joey Atterbury if you're just joining us. And Therese, I do love seeing these cars around here. You can see the drivers have to wheel them.
It's a very technical course. It's very slick. The conditions change constantly, especially since the repave last year. Sonoma kind of was a little bit more predictable before that repave. That repave made it really, really quick out here, and as that surface starts to degrade over time, and as we've seen a lot of rain over the SRO races, lots of different kinds of rubber going down, this track is evolving constantly, and adaptation is the name of the game here.
Well, not only adaptation, it seems like a few drivers have said that knowledge of this place is key. This is your home track. Are there any secrets they need to know about?
There absolutely is, but I'm not going to be letting them out on air here. No, there's a couple moves you can pull for sure with some local knowledge. The understanding of where the time to be had here, it's a lot like Sebring actually. Like, you know, 7-7A is a really important sector. You can really easily lose 4/10 by not coming into 7 too hot. As you can see, you've got a lot of room over there on the outside, and you can go over that blend line. There's no track limits there. But you come into 7A into almost no grip. So this is truly a momentum corner combined with a really important exit. So the technique into 7, setting up 7A, getting out of 7A into the S's can really cost you. So that familiarity with kind of fighting through that can really, you see the people who are local here, the Charlie Hayes outfits, Kenton King, Laura Eli, who are here testing all the time, Reinhold Kron, who's here a lot, the Czechies, who are here a lot. You see them doing really, really well because they know this track really well. That's why I was really impressed with Alan Metney. He did put down about 200 laps in testing, you know, trying to suss this place out, and I think that's a testament to how difficult it is to figure out.
Yeah, came away with a victory a little bit earlier today.
Conversely, where Titino, also really great driver, dropping down from Carrera Cup, he was mid-pack in our races yesterday, and that's, you know, a function of not having gotten those testing laps here, and this isn't an easy place to figure out.
Absolutely. So now drivers finishing their out lap, getting ready to start their flyer. Saw Scott Blind out there for a brief moment. He just started his. One of the drivers, along with Alan Metney, who's not only racing in the North America Series, but has competed in the USA West, and now here for the Endurance Challenge. He has been a real Iron Man. And, I mean, Joey, how tired does that make you when you're racing just constantly back-to-back all weekend? We'll try and get Joey here on the mic in a second. Just a couple technical issues, but...
Yeah, to Joe's question, it can be really, really tiring, and Alan and Scott are a little bit, you know, longer in the tooth, so I don't really know how they're doing it, how they're getting all this energy back and forth.
That sounds like we got Joey back now.
Yeah, no, I think that this
Well, we'll get that sorted out in just a moment, but the drivers obviously have been working a lot out here, getting whatever track time they can on the board and getting some time. Now we've got Joey with us.
I was just going to say that it's definitely physically exhausting, but not only physically exhausting, it's mentally exhausting as well inside those race cars, because you're looking at every brake point, and then not only that, but you're standing on that extremely stiff brake pedal to stop the car as well. So yeah, it's hot inside the car. The brain is working full-time. Your body is working full-time. So if you're doing literally every session like some of these drivers are out there doing, you got to be very physically fit. You got to be ready for a weekend like this.
This is on board with Hankins now coming down to the braking of that final chicane. Just staying off that tire bale to the inside. A lot of that curb. You could see the car bouncing around as he tries to get it sorted out, and then accelerates off into the final hairpin. It looks like we've got a couple times on the board right now. Gilliland are provisionally quickest at a 39 flat. But what about Hankins as he comes around? Has not set a time yet. I look for the time on the board now, and he gets himself into third overall.
That's a really good time out of John Gilliland. The 39.0, I think that might be his quickest all weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. And
Josh Conley as well with the 39.7. I know he's capable of a high 38, but it's really great to see Gilliland and Conley topping the board to get going, and the purple sectors out of Gilliland and Conley.
So as we watch down the drag strip once again, we see the bright red machine hit that brakes down into the hairpin of turn 7 and then have to go the long way around as we've got that wide version of the hairpin in this layout, and then switch back towards the S's once again.
Arnold this weekend, which is really great. They're former teammates from both BR Racing and WR Technica before that when they were in the USA West Series. So these two go way back. It's really great to see them sharing the car. They're out here to have a good time, and Blake's been really on fire all weekend. So as Conley, he put me under a lot of pressure in race 1. So that should be a really great matchup to watch out for.
Already halfway through this one, and Hankins still our quickest. It's about 0.3 of a second between himself and Scott Blinn, but remember, there's a difference in the classes there between them. So Blinn going to be on the pole for his class. Mim is the one that wants to try and chase down Brannon. And back down the hill we go with Eric Lapp, who's definitely could use some good results. He's had a bit of an up and down weekend so far, Joey.
Yeah, Eric Lapp is doing this endurance race because he got so close to the podium at Sebring. He was going to sit this one out. He's supporting Alex Sedgwick this year in his campaign in the Porsche GT3R. So to save a little bit of that sponsorship money for Alex, he's not doing all the endurance races, but he was so close at Sebring to that podium that he wanted another shot at it here. So I'm really glad to see him out here with Alex Sedgwick, who has really brought him along. Eric, this is only his second year in these Cup cars, and he has developed so immensely, and that's a testament to Alex Sedgwick and the JDX Racing team really investing in the development of their drivers.
Yeah, I do love seeing when drivers have that never give up attitude, and they want to get back out there and show what they can do. So down and to the line for Lapp as he crosses. Let's see what kind of lap this one's going to be. Doesn't look like an improvement for him, unfortunately, although he was personal best in the first sector. So he's finding little bits here and there. 6 minutes left to go, Therese. It's starting to wind down, though.
Yeah, we're seeing Mike Mim doing really well. Riley Giacomazzi, that's an invitational car, so that's running a silver lineup. So I do not believe they're going to be classified in the Pro-Am Championship. I could be wrong, so we'll get confirmation on that for you guys. But we got Gilliland running with Dickinson. That's going to be a threat, especially with Gilliland sitting in P4 in class. So we'll look to see where Scott, Conley, and Hayes kind of line up. That looks like it's going to be really tight as Charlie just puts down a 138.5 to get really close to Scott Blinn there.
So that'll be fun to watch between those two. Scott Blinn and Charlie Hayes both racing in that AM class out there.
Charlie sharing the car with Reinhold,
yeah.
Whereas Scott going solo. So Scott, not only is he double dutying, he is running the endurance race solo. I don't understand where this man gets the energy. He's just so full of life and vitality. And oh no, Mike Mim looks like he kind of came around there coming out of 11.
Yeah. I know that we were just mentioning Scott Blinn, and remember our first endurance round back there at Sebring. Kind of ran away up front for a little while, and then, in my opinion, it was a perfect strategy call just with the pit stop times and everything, and where that pace car was. They went a lap down, but then what happened after that? They charged all the way back to win that thing. So incredible performance from that team and also that driver. It doesn't matter how long the race is, he's ready for it.
Certainly seems like it. The 255 back down through turn 4 and into 5. Once again, Mike Mim trying to see if he can get closer to Hankins. The gap still at about 0.4 of a second to the pole, the overall pole, in fact. And Mims separated by 2 of our AM drivers. So we now hop on board with Scott Blend down through the final chicane. And not only is he just doing all these races this weekend, but races in Carrera Cup. I mean, he's just about everywhere, it feels like.
You see that flash of yellow every time I look at the track. I see him go by, so I don't know when he has time to even eat something or go to the bathroom, because I swear every time I look at the track, he's on it.
I tell you what, the car really rotated very nicely in the beginning half of turn number 11, which is exactly what you need out of these cars. Now, we always say loose is fast, but you can't be too loose out there, and it looks like the rotation, especially in the slow-speed corners, really hooked up on this 245.
Worth noting that Hayes has now overtaken that pole position in the AM. Blend going to have to try and come back around, see if he can improve by just about 1/10 of a second, maybe a little bit more, to retake that AM pole. I do see Hankins in pit lane. Giacomazzi is in there. Gilliland has taken it into pit lane. Ammon and McCaig as well. So similar to what we saw with the Caymans, a lot of drivers, once they're satisfied with their lap, they've brought the car in.
Yeah, again, Charlie Hayes is local here to Sonoma. This is his home track. He's an incredible driver, and he's definitely one of the fastest bronzes. We duked it out at Road America last year. He got us by half a second at the line, but always a threat. Watch out for that Charlie Hayes-Reinhold Kron matchup.
Watching the sector times for Blend, and it's not looking like he's hitting any personal bests here, so not sure if he's going to be able to make it up to catch him. It's small margins, though, Joey. He doesn't need a whole lot to jump him.
No, and looking at those fast laps between those 2 drivers out there in terms of what they put down, Charlie Hayes is at a 38.3 and Scott Blend is at a 38.5. So call it 1/10.5. If you pick that up, you pick up that pole position in class. And a lot of drivers, they'll say, oh, 1/10.5, that's no big deal. But really, you can spread that out over 12 turns on this place. A couple hundreds here, a couple hundreds there. It's not like you got to set the world on fire and fix one corner and it's miraculously going to get better. Sometimes it's just inching up to it.
Yeah, that little bit of extra, brake release, that 1 mile an hour more of minimum speed can really net you what you need. But to your point about the looseness versus the tightness, it's really remarkable how much quicker a loose car is here than a tight car. We ran both setups in testing just to kind of check it out. And, turn 1, you feel like you're going to die, but it's so fast.
Well, and it's also just the comfortability factor. Every driver is a little bit different. So some drivers don't like the tail end wagging out, right? And some drivers love driving the thing sideways. And it really is just who's comfortable and what type of setup. But you're right. As long as the car turns, it's going to be fast.
1.5 minutes left to go in this session. We're coming towards the end of it now. Hayes is still out there. Blend. Let's see what this sector looks like. First one, again, not improving. So unless he has something better in the second and third sectors, probably won't see him jump ahead of that 233. And now on top of it, he's got a little lap traffic in front of him.
Well, he also just missed, he blew the exit of 7A pretty bad there, so I wouldn't expect this to be a great lap. And he kind of jumped up on the curb there in 8A. Looks a little out of sorts. Scott needs to take a deep breath and recalibrate here.
That was Conley just kind of pulling out of the way. That's another of our AM competitors, although he's a ways behind in terms of pace. He's down in 7th overall, whereas Blend is 3rd currently on our timing tower. They should be able to get the line in time to start one more flyer. And it looks like both of them are trying to hustle back there.
Yeah, I see. Oh, see, this is perfect to watch right here from turn 11. So Scott Blend has taken the ultra-wide line just to try to get as much rolling speed down this front straightaway as possible. That is one of the tricks that you can definitely pick up here at Sonoma. It doesn't matter if you're in a 500-plus horsepower GT3 Cup car or if you're in a little 100-horsepower car. The longer you make the straightaway, the faster you're going to go.
De Jesus currently sitting in 11th, down around to try and improve upon on his 141.9. Needs about 1.4 seconds, I think, to catch up to McCaig at the moment. But De Jesus, nice and steady around turn 7. This is his last attempt. Checkered flag is indeed out, and I think he might be the first to take the checkers.
Yeah, and it looks like he's definitely on a cool-down lap right now. You can just tell from the attitude of the car, and obviously the speed going through the S's, not so much body roll, just kind of taking it easy on an in-lap here. And that's part of also the driver's job is, Therese, remember you said that they're going to be starting the race on these tires, you don't want to abuse them too much.
You also don't want to get any pickup, and if you go offline, there's a lot to be had. It took me maybe 3 laps to get the gravel off my tires after the incident in race 1. So, kick that TC off and start getting some wheel spin and try to clean them off, but you want to protect those Yokohamas as well as you can. Scott Blind looking real quick through 9A.
Yeah, he put down a good sector 2, which was pretty much just as fast as Hankins, who's our provisional pole sitter overall. However, Scott's first sector time was just a little bit off there, so we're going to have to see what he comes up and does with that. And as you pointed out, Joe, he's already in pit lane.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Charlie Hayes across the line and doesn't improve. 38.3, that his quickest lap. He still will remain on the pole. Most drivers heading down into pit lane and not completing that last lap, which is quite interesting. Josh Conley, it looks like, might still be out there. Did he just head into pit lane?
I think he must have an issue with the car. On 150 out of Josh Conley is definitely a warm-up time, so I'm wondering if there's something going on there.
Yeah, so, all right, that is...
sorry about that. He's put up a 138.8, which is, I believe, matches his it actually beats his qualifying from the North America Series.
Yeah, and he did head into pit lane. So that is our qualifying over for the GT3 Cup cars now. And that means that Brandon Hankins has the overall pole at a 38.1. Charlie Hayes pole in the AM category just behind him and on the front row. So it's going to be Scott Blend in P3. Then it's Mike Mim in 4th, Jacques Amazzi in P5. John Gilliland will start from 6th, Conley 7th, Eric Lapp in 8th, Dan Am in 9th, and Sean McCaig in the 10th position. De Jesus in 11th when we get to our Endurance Challenge, which will take place at 3:15 p.m. for Green Flag. 90-minute race this time for round number 2. Make sure and tune in here at Sonoma for our second of that event.